So will this electronical ignition switch and key cylinder prevent me from getting stranded in my BMW again? Find out today on this episode of Throttle Hobby. So as I said before, I actually went and got this electrical ignition switch and key cylinder because once again it reared its ugly head and it left me stranded actually at a King Cullen parking lot. So what we're going to be doing is removing the electrical ignition switch and the key cylinder, and hopefully it'll be the end of my stranded problems. So let's get started with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is there's one clip here that you actually have to punch the center out up straight out to get it up. There's another one actually down there in the column, which we'll actually have to raise the steering column to get to. And up top here, there's actually an electric Phillips down in there that we're gonna have to get out. And then we should be able to access the inside there where the two pieces are that we're gonna be replacing. So like I said, for this bottom one, you just gotta grab something sharp, pointy, pop it out in the middle, just like so. And we'll do the same thing for the bottom here. I don't think I need to show you guys how to use a screwdriver. I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do that. So I've actually gone ahead and pulled off both of these tangs out to make it easier to get to that bottom one, which I'll show you right now. All you have to really do, if I get the flashlight to sit there and pave, just grab something sharp, go underneath here. That was kind of hard to see. But you go underneath here and you just press it up. Just like that. By the way, quick little heads up, before I did any of this, I disconnected the rear battery so that way the battery doesn't drain, because otherwise you're gonna have all these lights on, and if this takes you a long time, you're gonna be stranded here with a dead battery. So just make sure that before you do anything electrical, you know, even if it doesn't hurt it, you're better off doing it. Disconnect the battery. It's just that much easier. Right, so I just put a plastic tool in here and just separated this. Here's our ignition switch. Here's the cylinder switch. It does seem like there's a lot of moisture that got in here, but we'll be changing that out. So while I have it actually out here, I want to show you something about these clips. So with these, when you put these back in here, you actually have to put this part in, and then you put this other piece inside there, because otherwise, if you get it just in here and you try to install it this way, it doesn't fit. It doesn't even fit under here. So the way these work is you pop them out like that, like we did with the screwdriver. You're gonna take these out first completely, just like this. You're gonna put this part in first when you're putting this all back together. In first, and then this. That's how you're gonna get that in. So we've come over to the passenger side. Don't mind the fan. It's very hot on this island today. So what we're gonna first do is there's a little tiny hole right here. I don't know if you can see it on the ignition tumbler right there, or the key cylinder, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to use this little cotter pin to get in there. Before, what we do first is we take the key, and I believe it's us putting it into the first click or the accessory slot, just like this. So now what we're going to do is take the cotter pin, open it up, just like that, put it in here. And as we put it in here, we're gonna go and tilt it upwards to loosen up whatever's holding the actual tumbler back. Let me see if I can do this one-handed. Yeah, this took a little hand work, but yeah, like I said, you push this in and you unlock it, and as you turn it upwards, you pop out this whole ignition. I believe this is the EWS wire, so we're gonna disconnect that. And we're gonna put the new one in there. Looks pretty clean, not too bad. So I wanna put the new one in here. So here's the old key cylinder. I'm gonna have to remove this EWS system up here, which should just be a little flathead, and then these are just clips that clip onto the back of this. And I've taken off a rubber grommet that goes around here. It's actually down here. And we're gonna install the new one. So what I had to do actually was put the old tumbler back in, and this is called a tumbler antenna, and I'll have to install this onto the new one. Basically what I did is I put the tumbler back in there, and I went around here, I grabbed a flathead screwdriver, I went underneath one of these tangs, and very carefully I just pried it like this, and it popped right out. If you're not gonna have a new one of these, please be careful doing that, because you don't want to break this and then be stranded. So I will now be mounting this onto the new tumbler. And voila, all you really do is line it up to that. So mine was opposite this black tang, which presses in. So I just put it on like this, pressed it, and it clicks in. So now we're gonna put the new tumbler back in there. Also, one more thing, do not forget to put your new O-ring that should have came with your new tumbler back on here before you place it in there. I'm gonna be lubing mine up with white lithium, sliding it on and putting it back in there. And after you put the key in, you put it back in the on position, you push it in, and it should snap in. So you have your rubber grommet there, your new tumbler, and the key. So now, since we have all this installed, before we continue on to the last thing, let's actually put the battery on and see if this actually cycles through and starts, just to be sure. We have key in, we have the first, that's on, second, power, and now mine's automatic, so it should, well, I mean automatic for now, so it should start. So let's see. Beautiful. So let's now go to the ignition switch, the electric ignition switch down there. So now on the other side of the steering wheel we have the ignition switch. Now usually these have a slew of tons of problems, usually because it gets too low a voltage in this unit, and it has malfunctions, and it can go from anywhere from slight irritating electrical problems to car not even wanting to crank over to car not wanting to start. So like I said, we've got the new one of these, so let's replace this real quick. So here's the new one I have, and basically that right there is what your key turns. So your master cylinder that we just did over there, or however you want to call it, turns the key, and the key inside of here is a long bar that connects into this part right here, and then that turns it over and tells it, you know, what for. Let's get this out of the way. But for our sake, what we're gonna have to do first is down here, I don't know if you can see, there's two little red covered in wax set screws, and what we have to do is pretty much grab a small screwdriver like the one I literally just had. Here it is. Grab this small screwdriver and slowly undo both of these. I'm gonna have to use probably two hands to get some of this wax out, but we're not taking all these out all the way. We're just loosening them, just like this. And that'll give us more access to this ignition switch. So I'm gonna leave that one right about there. And I'll do its brother over here. Same thing. All right, now that I have both of the set screws out a little bit, there's a tang right here. And what we're gonna do is grab a screwdriver of some sort. I'm gonna go in here, and we're just gonna pry out, just like that, all the way. Like this. And now this should separate this unit from this unit. So there's the one unit that connects it. Let's look inside here. Those look pretty clean, but I might hit those with a little bit of the electrical cleaner. And now this, that the set screws we're holding on, is the piece we will be replacing. So like I said, this is due to voltage problems, tons of them, and it does look like there's not been too much water, but I could see on the outside here how it's kind of cruddy, so we'll be replacing that. And that's the bar I was telling you guys about, that when you turn your key, this moves. This piece right there, hopefully I can get it with the light right there, that's what moves and sets this thing off. So let's spray a little bit of the crud be gone for the electrical systems in there and install the new one. So I have some QD electronic cleaner that I'm going to be spraying in here, and then I'm going to take, I have a little air hose. After I'm done spraying it, I'm going to blow it out so it's nice and dry, and then we'll hook this back up. So now that this is all clean, I'm going to be attaching this to this right now. So once we slide that in, we press it in to make sure it's in, and this little tang we press down, and we give it a little tug, and it's good to go. It's good to install back into there with the set screws. So now that we've snugged up the tight screws. Do not over tighten these things, just snug them up. We're gonna give this a nice little tug. That's in there, that's good. So now, before we start putting anything back together, let us go get the battery started and see if it actually starts. Get the battery started, plug the battery on, and then see if it starts. See if our fruits of labor have paid off. So, got the battery installed. Let's see. Key and ignition. First to accessory. Okay. Not a fault. All lights working. And now will it turn on? Huh, like a dream. That even felt better than the old one. So, I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna disconnect the battery. I'm gonna put these plastic pieces back on, and we should be good. So I've slid the top part on. It looks like it went in very beautifully. Yep, awesome. Just right over the grommet. Perfect. So now I'm gonna be taking that first little screw, which is this one, these two, putting them in and tightening it on the top. So with that installed, we're now going to lower this arm and slide this piece back up into there. Kind of just like that, and in with the arm. So once you get these in place, you just clip this. They pretty much just click in, snap in. And now we're gonna get these in, which I told you, first things first, this one will go in first into the hole. And as it clicks in, right there, we're now going to put the middle piece back in. Try to get a better picture. So we just push this back in and take this middle piece, push it in until it's flat, flush, and it clicks. Boom, that's holding in. We'll do the same for the bottom. And there it is. Key tumbler with antenna in, electrical ignition switch in. So that's it. Will it strand me? Well, that's the thing. I really don't know. Usually it takes a couple times, or it took a couple key turns when I used to fix all the stuff, and each time it would get longer and longer and longer before it decided to strand me. So these are the last two things that generally cause this problem, and they're brand new now, so it shouldn't, but I'm still not sure. So my plan for this car is going to be I'm going to drive it every day, just home and work, because at work I have the scanner and I could always reset it if it does decide to pull the old stranding game. So I could just reset it, and if I'm home and it strands me, well, I have the truck and I could just bring the scanner back to my house and reset it. So kind of a win-win situation. But if in about a month's time nothing happens, then I have solved the problem. And if for some reason something does happen and it strands me again, well, then there might be one or more two things that maybe I just didn't really get or didn't look up. So with that, like I said, I'll be driving it back to and fro from work, so hopefully that's it, and no more of this stranded ignition switch or ignition problem, and that's that. So I'm gonna clean this up. I'm gonna head home. I'm gonna put some gas in this thing, get ready to go to the gym. So once again, this is Seabass. Thank you for watching Throttle Hobby, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.